Welcome back to Hazardous Endeavors.
Huzzah!
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
There's
There's
no.
no huzzah.
Not this time.
No.
Not this
A
time.
great hero has died today.
And yes, indeed, welcome back to Hazardous Endeavors, the Digital and Dice 5th Edition actual play podcast. And we find our intrepid adventurers on the outside of the gates to the Valley of Forgotten Truths.
With their hearts torn out on the ground because the DM is an ass.
Yeah, these things happen. So
An ass.
they are recovering from not only a great ordeal that took place within the cave of the Sunken Oracle, where they had some information given to them by
Willis?
Yes.
yeah, that was what Willis was talking about.
Yes.
Indeed.
And upon you leaving, you had seen an epic sight of your compatriot and champion of the light, Zug Tug, locked in combat with a massive shadowy being on the thin bridge of stone leading out of the valley. And that's when he granted you safety by taking the villain with him off the edge, saving you and the paladins and clerics that have been all but wiped out by the marauding undead up to that moment, leaving you in relative calm, as after the being itself was cast down into the shadows, you find yourselves no longer assailed by massive forces of undead and are able to get some rest. Much needed rest.
I say we erect a statue in his name, and on the bottom we will inscribe it with, you are all safe now. It will be good. But not here because it is full of undead.
Yeah. Oh,
And we'll
mostly
need to do
scary.
that at another time. We do have things we need to get to.
Somebody should wake up Elliot.
Let him sleep. I'll take first watch.
Yeah, sleep, passed out, same thing.
Norin and the rest of the survivors appreciate everything you have done for them thus far, and thank you for taking watch, because they desperately need some rest.
Anytime, my friends. Anytime.
I guess I'll take a second. Go get a bit of a nap. Right.
Okay. So, throughout the rest of the evening, you see dark shadows moving on the periphery. Nothing seems to brave the bridge enough to cross it to come over to your camp. Although, luckily, the rest of the evening goes by uneventfully and fairly calmly. Meaning, when it starts to get a little bit brighter out, heralding the dawn, although nowhere near as bright and welcoming as you would hope it would be.
Like Zug Tug?
Like Zug Tug.
Like Zug Tug? There is no dawn!
Right. And of course, as the paladins and clerics are gathering their equipment, Norin comes over to Jaxom, and he looks tired, he looks beaten, but most of all, he seems to be, he almost look like a look of shame crossing his face. And he looks at you and he says, "You know, I've been talking with the rest, and we've brought you here to the valley, but I don't think we have the strength to carry you much further."
I understand, brother. You do need to get back to the gate.
He nods and says, "We will, of course, send what reinforcements we can. We will inform Varaxlin of what you have already done, and we will tell them where you are going."
That will be most appreciated. Palor be with you.
Pillar be with you too, brother. He goes to each individual and he kind of clasps you on the shoulder, mutters a prayer to Palor under his breath, and kind of solemnly moves to the next, and so on until they all pack up their gear, get ready to head out.
I see how it is. Without like The inspiration that Zug Tug gave them all. Their spirits are broken.
He's cowardice.
So it was about a third of their number.
Yeah, but Zug Tug made up like a third of their mass.
Lindo, I'm sorry. I wasn't able to save him.
I do not believe that any of us had the opportunity to. I
tried.
think that it was his wish to go by saving his friends. A paladin to the very end, unlike some people. Not you, Jaxom. You're fine. I'm mad at everybody else.
So,
Right, so we see them off, and I guess we find ourselves afraid and alone in a terrifying place, and we have to go where?
Well,
In here?
basically the heart of all of the terrible things.
Yeah.
Without our friend and without our assistance, and basically with all of our hopes and dreams smashed into a tiny little pile.
Well, I mean,
Here.
you're gonna look on the bright side of things, I guess.
served it on a silver platter for you. You are welcome.
So, from what you know of the area, or at least the directions that you have to head where you are headed, you know that you are headed out of the valley and then headed south, further into the rotting hills. The almost directly south of you is where you are best estimating the center of the rotting hills to be. And you're fairly certain at the rate that you've traveled hence far, you are pretty sure it's going to take you the better part of another day or two, rough travel to get there. It's not a whole lot of distance, it's the difficulty of traveling through this particular area. So, you guys set off there after everyone has made their peace, and the paladins and clerics have gone back off to the north, heading back off to Blightwatch. And you find yourselves traveling along what stands for a road here. Mostly just a flat enough area where foot travel and whatever else travel has smoothed things out so that you're able to move around fairly easily.
It is a little disconcerting thinking about the fact that there appears to be a heavily trafficked path.
It's even more disconcerting that we have zero concept of where we are going.
Oh, we had Willis explained it. We had to go. What? I can't remember it.
We have to follow the yellow brick road. I mean, like, come on. Look at this thing. Look at it.
Right.
It is trafficked. Trafficked by what? We don't know. We will face it.
Sounds like fun.
We will
I'm super
prevail.
entertained by that idea. Snark, snark, snark. Snark, 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 snark. Pout. Meh.
So, you start on your way south. The area, as you're making your way down out of the foothills, is very similar to when you were on your way south to begin with to get here. A lot of very tall, very sharp-looking rocks stabbing up at the sky, causing lots of very angular shadows.
What is with all these headstones? Like, you think there's like a whole bunch of Willises that's buried under the ground?
No,
An army of giants?
probably. I don't know. It feels like. I don't know why there would be so many gravestones here, but it has to be more like a product of the land itself.
Oh, you mean it's just natural to make giant slabby towers?
Well, I don't think it's quite natural for a land to be completely and totally infested with undead. It might just be a symptom of that whole undeady thing.
Oh, you mean like if it was sunny and full of grass here, we would think they were like nails or something.
I think
Not creepy. No, nails are
it's
creepy.
The magic that's the necromantic magic, just making it seem like it's the death and decay is here.
Ah,
Or it has warped this realm beyond all reckoning. Or something like that.
Like that.
Why do you not just pray to Paylor and have it all better? Like, why is there so
Because
many of
there
you?
are, much to Varaxalan's irritation, there are other creatures that are just as powerful as Palor.
And they're like, nope.
Oh, they're just like, nope.
Nope.
Okay, so we're gonna unnope them.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're going to the center of their nope, and we're breaking their nope.
Alright, let's
With
get...
extreme prejudice.
I would imagine so. Okay. So, Willis said that we need to go south, yes?
Hmm?
And then we go where? Ah, I see that we have all taken notes.
Yes.
From what you understood from Willis's somewhat cryptic descriptions, heading to the center of the Rotting Hills is where you are going to find what you are looking for. There is a series of, well, let's say landmarks that are more than likely going to guide your way upon your getting there. But you... deciphering the words of an oracle are always a little iffy.
Mm-hmm.
So, in this instance,
Iffy.
yes,
They can't just speak plain common.
Eh?
I mean, theoretically they could, but
I don't
Then-
know. Willis seemed to change his personality when he gave us his prophecies.
yeah, he sort of did this epic voice sort of thing.
I could do that too. See, ready? Follow the path to your death. See? I'm like an
Not quite.
oracle.
Not quite. Elliot. Lindo.
You are Elliot. I am Lindo. This is Wilf. That's that guy. Hi, Jaxom.
He's had concussion recently.
Oh, yeah. How is your head?
Painful.
right. So, traveling south brings you kind of down through the foothills of the more mountainous terrain and down into what passes for kind of a plains here. Kind of rolling hills that are kind of cracked and broken. The land itself, mostly gray, dust, dirt, bare stone. Only wisps here and there of what may have been trees, may have been some vegetation at some point. It just kind of, it almost looks so fragile that merely touching it just so would cause it to break and blow away in what stagnant breeze there is. And as you're traveling down, you see in the distance, with the only light that is coming through, as the sky above you remains dark and imposing, a thick cloud cover, so that the horizon sun is the only thing lighting everything, kind of at a fairly close angle to the land. Everything being caught in stark contrast. And as you're making your way through, you'll note that ahead of you, you see what looks to be, at first, just seems to be maybe a spear jutting out of the ground to the side of this path. But as you get closer, you note that it actually seems to be a wrought iron signpost.
Is that words? Somebody come over here who can read.
Right. Let's see. It's a little dingy.
So you're looking at it, and what is left of the sign hanging from the signpost itself is old, broken, mostly rotted. Seems that if at one point it was lacquered, it has long since dried, cracked, and broken its way through. It is unintelligible.
This, at one point, said words. Unfortunately, the words died.
Can I have insight?
You can certainly try. What are you attempting to insight?
Like perhaps that this sign is here for reasons?
Sure, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, here's an attempt of Lindo being insightful.
Make it an investigation. It is more of an investigation. You are not attempting an insight against an inanimate object.
That is a shame. Because that roll allows me to use my intelligence, which is, by the way, a -1. Boom! Nat 20.
Right then. All right, Lindo takes a look at the signpost, and you get the distinct impression from what it looks like, the direction that it seems to almost be pointing.
I sniff it.
It smells of decay, rot, and dust.
Eh.
But, weirdly enough, you get the impression that it seems to be pointing in the direction of what you guess to possibly be a town?
Guys. What are signs for?
A variety of things.
Advertisements.
What are signs on streets for?
Travel advertisements.
Directions.
Directions! I have a feeling by perceiving this sign that there probably is something in that general direction. Possibly a former town, or perhaps a place of worship.
Well,
Eh?
let me check my books, I guess. Knowledge history.
Sure, go ahead and make me a knowledge history roll.
As long as this takes us south and not off of our direction.
11.
11. You don't remember reading much about there being towns in the Rotting Hills. It seems to stand to reason that at one point this was a populated area back during the War of Ascension, but you don't remember the names of any particular towns down here. But Lindo does have a point that if there is a town, or if there's a signpost pointing somewhere, chances are it might be pointing towards one of those old towns.
In fairness, I do not have a compass, so I don't actually know if this is south, and I cannot read a compass.
As for whether this is heading south, it is generically south, yeah.
But because I have a natural intuition, I'm pretty sure we are supposed to go this way.
We are supposed to head to a town, are we not?
Yeah.
Oh, we are?
I think.
Honestly, the moment that Willis said anything, it just went in one ear and out the other.
Did you hear a faint buzzing, perhaps?
I'm pretty sure I did.
I think it's the head
listened,
drama.
But I got distracted by, well, what happened.
I don't want to talk about it.
Neither do I.
Everything is normal. We are about our normal way. We are adventurers doing normal things, like adventuring.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. So we should hurry up and get down to that town. You don't know that they could have things like alcohol.
Ooh, yes, probably not.
No.
Everything is dead here. It would be like dead alcohol. I don't think that's a
But
thing.
whiskey doesn't go bad.
Mr. Wilf, remember the rules of this land. You are not to eat or drink anything here.
Is that the rule?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that was the thing that.
In one ear and out the other.
I will remind you, Mr. Lindo.
So on we
Smack his
go.
hands as needed.
Don't smack my hands.
I prefer more magical means.
I had a manicure not that long ago.
That works.
So you start heading your way towards the town that you are hoping to be towards the end of this road. And the road definitely seems like at one point it might have been a fairly well-maintained road. You see what's remains of cobblestones kind of dug into the dirt. Most of them seem to have worn away or been uprooted and cast aside. But what is left of the stones does seem to lead you down this path. And as you're making your way through, you get to an area where there is a flat expanse surrounding what seems to be in the distance. Now that you're getting closer, the light coming in from the horizon is actually able to show you the silhouettes of buildings still standing.
Ha! Ha!
And what look to be fields surrounding this area, possibly farmland at one point.
I told you, in natural intuition.
But what you're seeing in the fields, rather than any sort of
Right.
crops or anything that looks like they might have been farming implements, instead you see hundreds, if not thousands, of almost like sticks sticking up out of the ground. and as you're getting closer, you start noticing what look to be handles and hilts and shafts.
What are they growing?
They're not. This was the scene of a battle. These are graves.
Of soldiers.
Oh.
How terribly ominous. This is exactly what I want to see in a land filled with undead.
Well,
A whole bunch of...
since this is the land of the
grave
undead,
markers?
they're probably not still in their graves. We can at least hope.
Oh. No, I don't want to hope these things. I hope they are in their graves. I really do.
No,
Resting peacefully, in pieces.
yeah.
Staying inside of them.
That won't reanimate.
Yep, that is what I hope.
Right then. So, you're traveling through and you see just all of the swords and spear shafts, arrow shafts, all this sticking up out of the ground as far as the eye can see to the left and to the right of you, making your way towards this town. There's no movement, no wind, no airflow whatsoever, just graves, dust, and what light you can see by. And as you're getting closer to the buildings themselves, you see, miraculously, they still seem to be standing. Unlike a lot of the things here where all that stands is wood and metal, albeit rusted and pitted, here you actually see the remains of wooden buildings.
I find this a little surprising.
Wonder
Lindo
what
doesn't, he just walks toward it. It
Wonder
seems
what-
normal.
wonder what dark magics are keeping these together.
Not go into the buildings.
I'm not going to go into the buildings, I just want to look around. I mean, why did we go in this direction if we were not here to look around?
We might need to actually check a couple places for clues and everything. Figure out where we're specifically going.
Yeah, but these buildings don't look like they are standing, have much of a leg to stand on.
I don't know.
It looks more stable than anything we've seen since entering the Rotten Hills.
Still things from the Rotten Hills.
They look pretty okay. I mean, they don't look as nearly as bad as that inn we were staying in. That was terrible.
It's true. It's true. I don't even want to think about what we ate at the Wayfarer's Rest.
What?
We ate there.
We did eat there.
What?
We ate food there.
But we weren't in the Rotting Hills.
Lindo has that I've seen some shit eye going on.
So, you're making your way towards the center. As you make your way into the town itself, you pass what looks to be a very low wall. Not a defensive wall, just kind of a perimeter wall that might have kept out maybe small farm animals, such like that.
Like a white picket fence kind of thing?
Small stone wall.
Okay.
The buildings seem to be almost shedding what seems to be ash, as the small amount of breeze that kicks up that kind of spreads out the smell of rot and dust around you. You see fluttering down from all of the buildings around you, almost stirred up by the movement of you entering the small town. You see it kind of fluttering down, almost looking like snowfall across the open central area.
It's like we're in a quiet Palouse.
In fairness, it's actually quite lovely. I mean, look around. It's like snowfall. I mean, I wouldn't build a vacation home or anything, but it is, nice.
Pardon me if I don't jump to make ash angels.
Okay, I thought about it for at least a second.
I'm continually casting prestidigitation to make sure I'm clean.
Okay.
Since coming near this area, I've been keeping maybe a little bit more vigilant watch out than I would have in the hills.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I'm looking for clues.
So, go ahead and make me perception checks as you make your way into the town, passing the first few buildings on the outskirts. What do we got?
18.
All right.
21.
8.
All right.
21.
Okay. So, the 8. You, as you're making your way through, notice the remains of what might have been an inn or a tavern, a building that mostly in ruin, seems to have a stables attached to it. And what is left of the common room inside seems to have the second floor collapsed in on it, making it all but impossible to get inside of it. And whatever the place was called once seems to have been long forgotten as the sign has fallen away and has shattered upon the broken cobblestones below.
Okay, question. Can I see the bar of this collapsed inn?
We'll say that you think you see something that could be a bar inside, but again, it's past quite a lot of broken timbers.
Well, do I see any bottles?
I'll have another perception check from you on that. Yeah.
That's a 23.
23? Okay. So you make your way over kind of to the doorway and look inside. And as you kind of peer in past, again, the kind of the broken timbers and fallen rubble from the upstairs, you see in what light you're getting from outside, you actually see a faint glint of light off of what looks to be a bottle towards the other side of the room.
Without wanting to get too far into the building, I mage hand the bottle to me.
Okay, yeah, you're easily able to lift the bottle and bring it over to you. The label has since faded into nothingness, but the bottle seems to be in relatively good repair. There is a kind of a dark, viscous liquid sloshing around in it. And as you kind of tip the bottle, it almost looks like the liquid pauses for just a moment and then sloshes normally. You tip it the other way and it goes completely inverted, and then a moment later sloshes down as if it were just water or...
I took that away.
Okay. The 18...
What'd you find in there?
Oh, it was just a bubble.
The 18, you will note that making your way towards the center of this small town, in what looks to be an open kind of cobbled square, you see the scene opening in front of you, where there is a set of stocks set up, and slowly, ever so slowly, just swinging back and forth, you see a series of bodies swinging from the stocks themselves. You see all around it, in the square itself, you see what look to be bodies of people not in poses of rest, but almost like figures kneeling down, looking towards the stocks themselves. So you're seeing at least several dozen of these bodies, tattered clothing, small what look to be bits of armor, almost rusted and pitted and almost completely gone and decayed, but all of them unmoving, kneeling, almost as if in reverence or in respect to what is happening on the actual stage itself ahead of you.
So do they look like they died in that position, or were possibly arranged?
You can't quite tell. Okay. They definitely have been there for quite a long time, if the buildup of ash around them is any indication. So from where you're standing, you just see, again, dozens of them arranged as if a crowd were gathered to watch what was happening.
All right.
And the two of you who got a 21, you said?
Can we tell if they have been arranged?
You two notice something in particular about the tableau. You notice that not only are there the vast majority of these bodies kneeling and pointing in that direction, or at least facing that direction, but within the crowd there is one individual that stands out, and it's still kneeling, or at least crouching, and it has a hand reaching up towards the stalks, and almost kind of a pleading gesture. And what you can tell, even from 40, 50 feet away, this look of anguish on its face, and it seems to be pleading with what is happening up on top of the stage. And as you follow the movement and you follow the pleading gesture up on stage, you note that the bodies that are swinging, there are 5 of them. 4 of them look to be very similar to the kneeling figures that are arranged around, but one of them is dressed in what look to be what's left of a tattered dress. And you're as you're looking at it, you're getting this almost kind of not quite a premonition, but almost like a memory that isn't yours. You're looking out. The scene seems to be playing itself out ever so slightly. You can see after images and echoes of people standing, a crowd angry, a proud, demanding magistrate standing on top of this stage, and what looks to be the image of a beautiful woman crying but defiant in her last moments, and in the crowd around them, a angry yet unable to act looks to be a knight of some kind reaching out, and the sound you all hear as this kind of almost as soon as it shows, it ends with the sound of a lever being thrown, of wood opening, of a trap door swinging, and the sound of snapping. And it echoes throughout the central area.
Uh-oh, guys, I got the tingles again.
Right. What do you have the tingles about?
Do as well. Be prepared. It looks like we're about to have a fight.
What? A bunch of dust?
Once
No.
a great knight, maybe not so great. I don't know. He didn't save his lady. Reached out onto the stage where there was a magistrate or something. I don't know. He looked pretty upset. And
He
the
does.
girl, oh, okay.
Yeah, as you're pointing and looking, you actually note that as the image has faded and the after images go and the sound is there, still standing there on the stage that wasn't there just a moment before is this dark figure that seems to be the magistrate. And as it stands there, it mutters something. You can't hear it. It doesn't register as far away as you are, but it seems like almost a conversational, like this kind of lilting tone, and then it points at your group standing there at the edge of the square, and
Okay, long story short, there was a girl.
as it does so, the knight who is kneeling there with its hand outstretched, you kind of hear ever so softly the creaking. You see some dust flaking down from its hand, and as it does so, you see this golden thing fall from its hand and then stop about half a foot below and seems to swing as what looks to be maybe a necklace of some kind is now hanging from his grip. And as that happens, almost a second version of it, the knight stands up from it, almost like it was blown back by a heavy wind. It seems to stagger back a few steps, and you're seeing this kind of dark gray and blue form of a knight in armor. And deep in its chest, you see this kind of pulsing red light that seems to echo a slowly beating heart. And as it stands and readies itself, it turns slowly to look at the group. And you see the bright red glowing eyes from its face seem to narrow in this look of hatred.
What did you do, Lindo?
I didn't do anything. I had a tingle. I looked up, and he was still there for my tingles.
The hand reaches out almost again in that pleading gesture to the stage. And as it does so, the form of the woman seems to kind of grow. You see these ghostly wisps coming out from it as another after image kind of floats forward out of the body. And you're looking at this ghostly image of this floating woman. Long white dress, black raven hair flowing down around her. And as she comes forth, he turns and points in the same direction the magistrate was. And she turns and looks at the group and shrieks this echoing cry of anger and despair and hatred.
Oh, hell.
Ow.
And with that, I'm going to need some Constitution saving throws.
Constitution saving throws.
Da, 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 da. Oh my god, I love my dice today. Look at this. Look at that.
That's pretty impressive, yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. So what do we got, Lindo?
I have a 22 because I'm used to the shrieks of women.
Okay. Elliot?
13.
13.
23.
23?
15.
Jaxom is also used to the
Okay.
shriek.
Right then. So all four of you feel the wave of this shriek pass over you. And as it does so, you almost feel like your soul itself was almost wrenched from your body. Elliot especially, what color there is to you drains out of you, and you feel weak and shaky, but you kind of feel that well of energy within you kind of sustain you for just another moment, as you're pretty sure that if you were not able to resist that, you might have just died. And with that, as that shriek echoes out over the town around you, as the knight stands, seems to draw forth a long, glowing sword from his belt. And as she floats forward with this look of menace, that is where we will end this session.
Oh, okie dokie.
Interesting.
So thank you for joining us, dear Digidicers, for another episode of Hazardous Endeavors. And until next time,
Game on, internets!